In the event of a water damage emergency, call PuroClean of Cenla.
Good morning, everyone. Going to be a pretty quick one today. We don't have much to talk about. I'm kidding. Tons to talk about, and it starts with my sleepless night looking at crazy model runs that have in some cases, made wholesale changes to things. Now, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I shouldn't say wholesale because it's still... yeah, I'll just show you. Toledo Bend, 55 degrees right now. It is raining, so beneficial rains here. This has gotten kind of lost in the shuffle, but we have a decent rain coming through today into tonight, probably a half an inch to an inch, something like that. Good morning, everyone. How you doing? Good morning. I see you there, Mom. All right, good. You got my text. I always have to text her to make sure she gets the notification. 57 here in town, safely above freezing, so we're not worried about a thing with any of the freezing stuff right now. Just some light, steady rain coming overhead. Maybe we end up with a few thunderstorms. You can see the winter storm watches, and those now stretch from Albuquerque through Nashville into northern Alabama, southern Missouri, down into North Louisiana. Will we get one? Possibly. I'm telling you, I'm going to show you the confusion right now as to what's going on. I'm just checking here to see if... Yeah, I see a few raindrops out there here at the house, but here in Alexandria, it's been mostly dry. You can see a few moderate showers, even some heavy bursts of rain out there, and temperatures from the upper 40s in Monroe, where they're probably going to see a very significant ice storm, down to the 50s and near 60 in New Orleans. So wind gusts today. It's going to be a little breezy out of the south. We're seeing that right now. Moisture flowing in. We get the rainfall. We need it, so this is all good stuff, and this is kind of the appetizer leading up to the craziness of the weekend. Wind gusts may be up to 20-25 miles per hour in some of those heavier showers, and then after this, we're just kind of waiting on that next system, and that next system is going to be very complex, and I'm going to get into that. Low to mid 60s for today, safely above freezing, lots of clouds, lots of rain, very dreary, maybe a rumble of thunder, but nothing severe out there. And here's one more for now, and then we'll get into the what's going on this weekend stuff. Futurecast showing the rain moving on through, maybe a few storms this afternoon and evening. If you have plans to be outdoors, bring the umbrella. I don't think it's going to be I know it's not going to be anything severe. That's just not the setup we have in place right here. And then beyond that, things move out. We get a break. We wait on the Arctic front. We wait on that big upper system out west, and now we dive into that. Winter alerts. Winter storm watch goes until noon on Sunday. That's for LaSalle, Wynn, Grant, Natchitoches, and Sabine Parish. It could be expanded. It could be expanded eastward. It could be expanded to the south. It just depends on which model really wins out. Now, the good news is we have we have hurricane hunters. We have the NOAA experimental plane flying out into this system out west, way out west, where that upper level feature is that we are so curious about. And we're going to get more information on that. So as we get those dropsondes in, as we get that information in, they're going to ingest that into the models tonight, and that's going to run at 6 p.m. And we won't get the information until we'll start getting it by 8 to 8:30, and then it finishes out, midnight on the Euro at least. So I'll be watching for all that stuff, and I'm not going to get into amounts yet, because I want to see what that does. If that model brings some clarity to this and where that cold air is going to set up, that's when I'll get into amounts. I just can't get that cute with it now, because the consistency that we've seen the last couple of days is not quite there anymore. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. I can't keep up with all the comments, but I'm going to look back through a little bit later. So, GFS model. This one holds very cold. You can see not much going on, just the rain pushing through today. And then that GFS run, it has the freezing rain and sleet into northern and central Louisiana through 5 p.m. Saturday. It keeps things just kind of rolling through Sunday morning. So this one has really remained consistent. It's just unfortunately not been the most reliable model. Now, it has support from the Icon. It has some support from the Canadian model as well. So there's that camp. And then we have the European model. Now, let me show you the GFS temperatures, and then I'm going to show you something else here on the European. So this is through the next several days. We see the cold front come on through, and you see temperatures well below freezing, near 20 along the I-20 corridor, 27 degrees, 8 a.m. Saturday. So then we stay below freezing, mid-20s, teens and 20s up north. We don't come above freezing on this model through Monday. In fact, we bottom out in the mid-teens. So crazy cold stuff there. Now, I'm going to go over here and show you the European and show you what the big deal is, what the difference is with all this stuff. If I can find the right button, there you go. So these are surface temperatures on the European model, and I'll take it back a little bit here. So cold front comes through. You can see the stuff coming in from the north there, and I know this one's not as high resolution. I'm just pulling this from the College of DuPage off the internet here. 45 degrees. Saturday morning at 6. The GFS had us in the upper 20s. So then what happens? You figure the cold front with that dense Arctic air is going to move on to the south. Well, with that wave moving a little further north on the European model, we actually warm up into the 50s. We have 60s in St. Landry Parish. We have the freezing line into northern Natchitoches Parish, so you can see where this gets a little tricky. Now, if this were the scenario, it would be mostly liquid rain right on through Saturday, and until that low pressure passes. Then that cold air comes in behind, but even then, it only gets that freezing line down to about a Sicily Island to Alexandria to DeRidder line as the precipitation's here. It would still end us with some ice. So there's still a decent chance. This is still something that would be perking my attention up if I were watching it, but if I were just watching this end of things. But when we have the GFS showing a start to finish ice storm from Saturday morning on, you can see where the confusion sets in here. There's an entire scenario where this is all rain Saturday until we get into Saturday night and that low passes, and then we see that cold air come crashing in behind it. I tend to think that cold air is going to set up a little further south, but we're going to have to wait and see because there's a big difference in 60 in rain and 25 in freezing rain. Okay, so off of this one, let's go. And so yeah, there's your temperatures, then blah, blah, that's done. And then we go into the QPF. This is the quantitative precipitation forecast. I accidentally say that sometimes. This is how much rain or how much liquid equivalent we're going to get through Tuesday. Now, some of that falls today, but on the Saturday, Sunday time frame, you can see that this is why this is so significant. Up along I-20, an inch to an inch and a half, and most models keep them below freezing. That could be all freezing rain and sleet up there. So you'd hope for sleet at that point. You can handle that. Freezing rain, that's what weighs down the power lines, and the more you get, it raises that exponentially, how much that weighs. From, I think it's 125 pounds at a quarter inch up to 500 pounds when it gets to a half inch. So you can imagine after that, most of them are coming down anyway. So, so that's why this is so significant. And I'm communicating more uncertainty today because models have changed a little bit overnight. If you missed the early part, we are going to get an experimental plane out there to measure this thing off the western seaboard. I'll show you that in just a second. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But first off, 7-day time here. Above freezing, little rainfall, decent rain Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, it could start up. I think we're going to really wait until Saturday to see things take off. And then that temperature forecast, like I said, we're a decently large area here, 14 parishes we cover. We could have highs in the 20s in northern Natchitoches Parish and highs in the 60s down around Opelousas. That's just the way it could be. And that's not me just hedging my bets. I'm just giving you a realistic scenario of how crazy it could be from north to south. So in Alexandria, we're splitting the difference, and we're going to be watching this super. You don't understand how closely we are watching this. I'm not sleeping. I got to get a nap at some point today. Cold air, it's going to stick around through early February, especially if we were to have any sort of ice on the ground and then snow to the north. And then precipitation-wise, things do look like they're going to take a little bit of a break. And I think we can use a break after this one. So let me go and show you that where that airplane's going to be going. And this is just the extra part at the end of the show. I guess the meat of it's done, but we'll just hang out and talk a little more. So that's just our radar. Let me pull up the water vapor imagery. Just one second here. There's a lot of options. I just got to find it goes west. Let's see if this one goes out far enough west. No, it doesn't. Okay, so goes west. That's visible. Okay, we'll just do the IR satellite, and I can show you what I'm talking about. This right here, that's the system we're watching. This is the big upper level feature. That's actually, going to kind of drop down the California coast. This is not so. It's not like these things just move west to east, A to B, and it's easy to forecast. And I can tell you what's going to happen. We have all these other influencing factors. We actually have an upper disturbance up over Canada that's going to drop in. It's going to interact with this thing out here, and this is going to drop south. It's going to shoot pieces of energy in that subtropical jet our way, and you can see why this is so complex. But they're going to fly a plane out into this thing, and they're going to be able, because we don't shoot weather balloons up over the ocean. We start there in California over land. So we're capturing a little piece of this, but they're going to go out and they're going to run a grid over this whole thing and feed us back a ton of not only upper level information, but lower level. We're going to get all this, put it into the models, and that in theory, better data, more data points is going to give us a better forecast. So that's what I'm looking for coming out of this tonight. Those models are going to come in later. We're not going to get the benefit of those today, but we can still have our typical stuff. We can still catch some of those weather balloons balloons from this morning. Let me show you the weather balloon sites. Oops, let's see. Nope, not copy and paste. Okay, we're getting into some of the deep analysis here. So let's show you. Nope, wrong one. So basically, we do these the weather balloons, the soundings that go up, and go back over and show you these sites. So that we're not going to get into all that. I'm looking to the left here where these stars are. So we have one that goes out of San Francisco, and then we have 3 along the coast right there. We have one up in Seattle, one in Portland as well. So these are going to be capturing a part of that upper level system, and so that's good that we're getting some readings in on this, and we'll see possibly a bit of an increase in our model accuracy here. But out here we're going to get into the meat of that one. We're going to go further west. They're going to fly further west into that, and they're going to send us all that data. So lots of stuff there, lots of information. We need better information. We need more data, and I think we're going to get it. But to recap, we have a winter storm watch in effect until noon Sunday for LaSalle, Grant, Wynn, Sabine, and Natchitoches and points north. And could this expand? Of course it could. I'm going to be watching this very closely, of course. But it looks like, like I said, yesterday morning, all models were showing a significant ice storm here. Now, the European, it shows a significant ice storm for part of the area, but for the southern part of the area, it doesn't. So there is a reasonable scenario with this because the ensembles of the Euro followed this, that we could see more rain than ice, and in some cases, all rain down in our parishes that are further south. St. Landry, southern Avoyelles, parts of southern Evangeline, Allen, Beauregard. That would be the most likely area that would see this. Now, if the GFS has its way, there's going to be ice sickles all the way down to Cameron Parish. So that would be a moot point. But you can see the uncertainty. You can probably feel the stress in my voice. 70 or 80 would be nice. I know. I just want to be right. I don't want chaos, but if I tell you there's going to be ice, I don't want to fake you out. So maybe put off the store run if you're south of Alexandria until tomorrow, and we have much more data. Because remember, this thing isn't even starting until Saturday morning. So we are on Wednesday here. We're still 3 days out. And like I said, the kind of the corollary I keep popping back to is last year. You remember the big blizzard? That was a year ago today. Down south, it wasn't looking like that was going to happen until a couple of days out. It looked like the worst of that was going to be up here and everything shoved a bit further south. So we can see these shifts in the last day and a half or two in the model runs, and we typically, we do see some sort of shift. Now, if it shifts further north, hey, we're all rain, we're good to go. If it shifts back toward what the GFS is still saying, along with the Icon and the Canadian, then we have an extended ice storm. So you can see the difficulty of all this. I hope I've communicated my uncertainty to you, because would be pulling out my hair if I had any. I will update text. Oh, they're just going to be coming all day, but I'll definitely have a comprehensive one out by about 1 o'clock. I will hold off on those. I will hold off on doing actual amounts yet because I just don't feel confident enough to say you're going to get this, you're going to get that. So that's where we're at. It would be one of those deals where I'd be saying like a 0 to 1 inch of ice, and that doesn't help anyone. So we're not going to go with that. But that's it for right now. That's a nice long-winded update for you this morning, and Tom will be on later. We'll be jumping on whatever we need to keep you as informed as possible. And I hope you all have a wonderful, what is it? I'm losing track of days. Wonderful Wednesday. Okay, I'll see you.